As you may already know, empanadas are super popular in Latin America, and today I've decided to combine it with tinga de pollo in order to make the perfect Mexican style empanadas. As always, there's very little prep because we're using instant corn masa harina, but before we even get to that, we need to make that filling because it needs time to cool down. First, let's make that sauce, and I'm gonna need a quarter of a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. Grab a pound of nice and ripe meaty tomatoes. I'm just gonna remove that core area. Quarter them, transfer them to the sheet pan. Grab a quarter of a white onion and roughly dice it. And 4 unpeeled garlic cloves. Give the ingredients a nice drizzle of avocado oil. Roast them in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes or until they're cooked through. Then just allow them to cool down. Oh, these look beautiful, nice and soft. They're gonna go straight into a blender. And I had these already cooked. We're just trying to speed the process. And make sure you peel that garlic before you add it in there. Depending on your heat tolerance, you're gonna add a couple of chipotle peppers. I'll be doing 3 with a couple of tablespoons of that delicious adobo sauce that they came with. You can do more or less. Cover it and blend until it is completely smooth because we don't want a lot of liquid. Remember, this is going to be a filling. Grab a whole white onion and thinly slice it. And while you're at it, finely mince 3 garlic cloves. Place a medium saucepan over medium heat and heat a couple of tablespoons of avocado oil. All of the onions go in. Oh yes, what a beautiful sizzle. Saute them until they become translucent and slightly brown. In goes the garlic. Just stir that in and cook it for about a minute. For the chicken, I'm gonna be using already cooked rotisserie chicken that I've shredded, and this is 3 cups. You can use leftover chicken, you can cook it specifically for this recipe, whatever is easiest for you. Cook it for a couple of minutes and in goes the sauce. It's gonna get that chicken nice and moist. We're not adding any more liquid. This is the perfect amount. I'm gonna cook this down for 5 minutes because we want some of that sauce to keep reducing down. It needs to be moist but not watery. Wonderful, stir and salt to taste, and a touch of ground black pepper. Turn off the heat and allow this to cool down completely. Something I like to do, but it's optional, is transfer it onto a separate dish to speed up the cooling process. Making the masa is super easy. Combine 3 cups of instant corn masa harina with 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Mix that in. I like to use my hands. It's the only way I've ever seen it done. I mean, you can use a whisk, but I think it's unnecessary sometimes. Gradually moisten the entire mix by adding low sodium chicken broth. You can also use water if you like, and this is warm. Depending on the temperature of the room or even the broth itself, you may need more or less broth. Keep that in mind. And just knead in between additions. All right, the dough feels firm. It's not too soft because it has to be able to hold that filling. It is fully hydrated. It came together into one mass. I ended up using 2 1/4 cups of the broth. I'm just gonna keep kneading for 5 minutes. It is nice and smooth but not sticking to my clean hands. I'm gonna divide them into 12 balls, and while you're at it, roll them and then flatten them into a disc. Cover them with a kitchen towel, that way they don't dry out. This is super exciting. All we need to do is make a thick tortilla. Give it a nice press. Do a few more, but try not to press too hard. That way you have more control on the thickness. This looks great. Let's add the filling. I'm just gonna do a couple of spoons because I'm the type of person that likes to overstuff, but I have to keep my cool here because we don't want them to open up while frying. Fold it into a half moon shape and press the edges. Also press lightly in order to get most of that air out. And with a fork, we're gonna press all around the edge. It's gonna help us seal it and also give it a nice decor. The only thing is you cannot make many ahead of time because they will start to dry out. So what I like to do is keep them with the liner just like this. If you don't have many, you can just place them over a sheet pan lined with parchment paper and cover them with plastic wrap. But I don't recommend making them all at once. Do about 3, fry them, and then following the same steps, continue making the rest. Time to fry the empanadas. Heat a good amount of a good frying oil, I'd say about ½ an inch to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the ideal temperature for deep frying, and that way you're gonna get a nice crispy texture with a beautiful golden brown color. Carefully add in the empanadas and do not overcrowd the pan because it's gonna cause that temperature to drop, and just allow the underside to turn golden brown and cook. Meanwhile, spoon some of that oil over the top of the empanada, and once the underside looks ready, carefully flip so the other side gets the same amount of love. Once cooked and crispy, transfer them onto a rack to drain all of that excess oil. Continue frying the rest by following the previous steps. These look marvelous. Just top them with shredded cabbage. You can do as much as you like. A few pickled red onions, and I'm gonna leave you the link to this recipe down in the description area. Do a few tomatoes. You can do crumbled queso fresco. I'm gonna do cotija because I had it in the fridge. We're gonna use it up. Crema mexicana, Mexican salsa, and I have a lot of recipes on my YouTube page, so I'm gonna link them down below as well. And we cannot forget avocado. Like I've said before, there's never enough. It is just butter from a tree. I am so proud of these, I just have to tell you. They came out perfect. We did a bunch of testing, and I think we got it down to the T. So good.
I just did a bunch of tasting.
Nelson is the official taster,
Yes,
so that I can make it out to the channel. Look, first of all, I love the flavor of fried corn. It's so good.
The TINGA is so good.
It's the star of the show. It pairs so wonderful with these empanadas.
How can you not make this at home?
It is so good. And you saw how easy it was. I mean, there's nothing complicated about this recipe. I really hope you enjoyed it. Try it at home. Remember that the full printable recipe is going to be available on viacocina.com. And, well, I guess until the next one.
Until the next one, everyone.
Bye. Oh, no, you didn't.